Hello, Brubs. We're back with new book arrivals, number 238. This is basically a part one of two since I went to a book sale today, or yesterday now, and I got 37 books, 13 hardcover, and 24 paperback. And I've divided them in half, but since I have these little books, these little Penguin 60s, I will include those with the hardcovers and take a look at them. D.H. Lawrence, Love Among the Haystacks, Jack Kerouac, San Francisco Blues, Roald Dahl, Lamb to the Slaughter, which I think I already have, but I will always buy these little books. John Steinbeck, the Chrysanthemums and Other Stories, Penguin 60s. Don't have many of these. I used to have a shitload, and then I sold them on eBay because they were going for stupid prices. But now I want them back, so I was happy to see these. Let's get into the hardcovers. The Rhythm of Beowulf. I always like literary explication, so this is nice. The Rhythm of Beowulf, which I have not read. I've read parts of it, but eventually I will have to read it so I can read this book. An interpretation of the normal and hypermetric verse forms in Old English poetry by John Collins Pope. Oh, ex-library. That doesn't make me happy, but I literally did not look inside any, except for about 3 or 4 books. I looked in For Whom the Bell Tolls to see if it was a first, which it looks to be. But this one I did not look. I probably would have got it anyways just because it has a nice jacket. As I've said the last time I went to this sale, they've done the trick of removing the Mylar off of their library books so they look like standard books and not ex-library, but I'm not offended by ex-library. I mean, I've never even heard of this book, The Rhythm of Beowulf. Or is it Beowulf? Livonia Civic Center, that's where I was. So yeah, I don't mind the ex-library. This is what I assume is a obscure title. But nonetheless, let's go on. Selected poetry and prose of Poe. Edgar Allan, that is. As you would expect, 1953. Obviously not an early edition, just a common modern library, but cool little book to have, even though I probably have all of these works in the 15 or 20 Poe books I already have, so obviously it's more preferable to have the copy with the dust jacket, but do not. You say that? Palimpsest? Seen this word before. A History of the Written Word by Matthew Battles, author of Library and Unquiet History. Another ex-library. As I've said, they've clandestinely removed all of the Mylar jackets, which is fine because it saves me the time of doing it, and I would have gotten this anyway, since I have dozens of books on language and words. Palimpsest. Let's see what it says. Doesn't really give a... Why does writing exist? What does it mean to those who write? Born from the interplay of natural and cultural history, the seemingly magical act of writing has continually expanded our consciousness. Portrayed in mythology as either a gift from heroes or a curse from the gods, it has been used as both an instrument of power and a channel of the divine, a means of social bonding and of individual self-definition. This better not be. I think I looked inside this one. The Reivers, a reminiscence by William Faulkner. Reivers is, with no reservations whatsoever, one of the funniest books in our literature. It is a comic classic that will be universally read and reread, not only today, but as far into the future as any fiction of our time can continue to delight, interest, and inform the world of tomorrow. 1962. This one actually may have some value, but I don't really know what William Faulkner books go for. I assume Faulkner was still alive in 62, but I could be wrong. Hey, maybe he's got Poe on there. Seems they have a lot of modern library, that's for sure. Does it give a date of Faulkner's life? Guess not. I assume he was still alive in 62, but I don't know. I don't really know much about Faulkner. Detroit, a manual for citizens. Detroit public schools, obviously. I'm from the area, and this really interested me. The Detroit Public Schools Juvenile Detention School. So I don't know if that means juvenile itself or just for young kids who had detention. I assume it means the jail, so that's nice. This is from 1958. The waning glory years of the city before the 60s brought it down. Obviously, there's nothing in this book that is probably valuable or original from other books, history books on Detroit, but it's a cool little book to have. 5th edition. Hoping there'd be like a library pocket or something, but I don't see anything. Like the color and the chintzy artwork. The Spell of Mary Stewart. 3 complete novels by Mary Stewart. Obviously, she's one of those gothic horror book writers of the 60s, probably 70s, maybe 40s, 50s, I don't know. I don't know what her career spanned. The Rough Magic. 3 full-length, first-rate novels of romantic suspense by the acknowledged mistress of the art. This rough magic, when Lucy Waring came to Corfu to visit her sister Phillida Forley, she was elated to discover that the castello above their villa had been rented by Sir Julian Gall, one of the brilliant lights in England's theatrical world. But any hope of meeting him was quickly dashed by Phil, who indicated with uncharacteristic vagueness that all was not well with the great man, and that his son Max discouraged visitors. That sounds really mysterious. I just like the cover. They have a section at this book sale which is called Classics Revisited or something, which they separate from literature. Obviously, it's not literature, but they also put Daphne du Maurier in there, and there was only one Daphne book today, but it had a jacket too, and I might have got it, but I've already got copies of hers, so I'm just not buying them anymore, unless they're amazing shape, but that's a great cover. The Spell of Mary Stewart. Byron and Shelley. I do plan on reading Frankenstein sometime this year, so I might as well have this book so I can have some background on her husband. I believe it was her husband, right? Or am I mistaken? That Percy Shelley was Mary Shelley's husband. See if it has her in there. Mary Shelley. John Buxton with a couple geese. Well, at least this isn't ex-library. First edition, 1968. The History of a Friendship. Don't really know anything about Byron or Shelley, so. Federico Garcia Lorca. 3 plays. Blood Wedding. Yerma. The House of Bernarda Alba. The new authorized English translations by Michael Duell and Carmen Zapata. I've read some Lorca in the past because he was recommended by, I believe it was Charles Bukowski, who mentioned Lorca several times, so I took out some books from the library and was never impressed, but it'd just be a thing. When I saw this book, I originally thought, now I think again that this is part of the... Yeah, it is. When I pulled them out of the bag to put them on my table here, I thought they were ink spots, but now I see it again. It looks like dandelions. I don't even care what this book's about. Ramona by Helen Jackson. Nice looking book. I was getting it regardless of who it was by or... The place had become to Ramona, or faux Ramona. The place had become faux Ramona, so like a friendly home that she dreaded to leave its shelter. 1884 and 1912. It was sheep shearing time in Southern California. It's probably just the normal pulp novel. Romance. Blood red colored. Not covered. For Whom the Bell Tolls by, obviously, Ernest Hemingway, from the North Side Boys of 1941. Believe this is a first edition. I know sometimes Hemingway books have a letter along with the date and this little thing, so it's not an A edition, so I'm not sure if it's literal first or if it's just a later first printing, but I've seen them go for as much as $60, but obviously this one's got a split in the binding, so it's going to be worth less, but for $1 you can't beat that. All hardcover at this place, unless they were in the special book section, are $1. So you can't beat that. The Little Wax Doll, A Tale of Modern Witchcraft by Nora Lofts. Somebody's hair. Formerly The Devil's Own by Peter Curtis. What? So it was written under a pen name? Or is Nora Lofts a pen name? 1960. All the characters in this book are fictitious. But of course. This may end up on this channel at some point. The interview had been arranged to take place in London at 3:30 on a Saturday afternoon. This was a time so extremely convenient to Miss Mayfield. That wax doll, that's fucking brilliant. Looks like an actual motherfucker right there. What's this? Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. Obviously not first or anything like that. Just a world popular classics art type edition. Didn't really look through it, just grabbed it and tossed it into my bag. The first critics of Wuthering Heights supposed it to be an inferior work of Charlotte Bronte that was just stupid. Charlotte's comment is perhaps a little stupid. It hurts her that she should have been thought capable of an attempt to palm off an inferior and immature production under cover of one successful effort. Lastly, Dante Alighieri. some kind of Black's Reader service. Probably mid-century. Faux leather looking kind of deal. 1950. Yeah, exactly mid-century. But it's got the nice little built-in bookmark. Text is rather small, but I guess you'd have to be small to fit into one volume. Yeah, that's pretty small writing. I don't like it. But as I said, most of these books I did not open at all. But it's a nice looking book. Probably goes with different classic works by classic authors in some kind of 10, 15 volume set, but nice enough as a solo piece. That's all, bruv. Goodbye.